Hi everyone. I'm planning to make this brief video on note making because many students have the dilemma with respect to how to make notes, what are some principles, how best to organize our daily notes and our static notes. I wanted to classify this into few, two broad areas, that is GS static and current affairs. Coming to GS static, we have some topics which are prelims only, like ancient, medieval, and science, general science. So when it comes to ancient medieval, I would just advise you, after you finish reading first time, second time, and preferably in your third time, you can just make most important points from that particular chapter into few, small short paragraphs. So entire Indus Valley civilization can be reduced to 10 or 15 key points. You need not even write them on explicit papers, you can just write them behind the particular chapter. Same applies to medieval India because these are very difficult to memorize. There are too many facts, and the cost benefit analysis also, cost benefit and the return could be very less. So, in your third revision, preferably before prelims, maybe in your second revision before prelims, once you write some tests, you will understand what are the core areas on which you have to make notes. So just take down those areas and make a specific note of them. So you can collect all travelers at one place, maybe collect all writings at one place, all architecture at one place, right? And sometimes caves at one place comes under architecture, of course. And such unique events. So if there are some inventions or discoveries, if foreign rulers have brought something into India, very unique contributions under the kingdoms or their economy, what are the trading ports, what are famous trading centers, and what are import export items. So something like that. After you have analyzed some previous year questions or some current papers, you will be in a position to understand what is important and what is not. So do not overestimate what you have to read, and don't make note of everything, especially in these two. And general science, SAB, we are not getting many questions, but I would encourage you to just read, understand the concepts of science, and solve some questions. So you don't need much note making here, right? Moving on to the next topic, that is combined. We have Indian art and culture, modern India, freedom struggle, geography, polity, economy, environment, and international relations, which are combined in both prelims and mains. Coming to culture. Culture looks like a very broad topic, isn't it? There are so many sources. It never feels full. It is always confusing, and most of us don't enjoy reading culture as well. So, how should you go about making notes for culture? I would advise, because your source is anyway Nitin Singhania, the book is well categorized and nicely sorted, good examples, and simplified topic, subtopic wise. So there's not much need for note making from Nitin Singhania. If at all you want to write down key points like what are the caves or what are the kingdoms, list of temples, those just crisp names, you can write them down after second or third reading. Otherwise, you will write down everything. So understand the essence of the chapter. Write down only the factual points that are repeatedly coming in the exam. So once you see some previous year questions, you barely have one or two questions. Even if more, it's not very beneficial. So culture note making, that way. Key facts that you have to memorize after solving some questions. Coming to the other source for culture, that is Ncrt. Ncrt is a very good book, and the book is unfortunately not categorized well. It is it gives you so many examples, too many places, and there is a bit of confusion also. So what can you do about note making of Ncrt, out of Ncrt? I would recommend you to read any good summary which has categorized the content chapter wise, sub chapter wise, because you can use it for mains. So NCRT summary is very helpful for mains. To write down content. Let's say they ask you about Eastern caves or Western caves, temple architecture, or they specifically ask about bronze sculpture. So about Buddhist sculpture, Jaina sculpture. We have such specific subtopics in NCRT culture, which is extremely helpful for mains. But you need not make notes again all by your own. You can read any good summary which is available on the internet. There are so many available. I myself have seen Clear IAS, if I'm not wrong. You can refer online. And coming to NCRT culture for prelims, again it comes down to facts, isn't it? So for each chapter, while let's say you're reading about Buddhist sculpture, Buddhist architecture, and you see that early Buddha in this in the form of lotus or throne or steps or chakra, so you just highlight that in that particular chapter. So highlight facts, and as you go reading in your second time, third time, you can if you want, you can make a separate sheet of just the facts to read again and again. So various temples, various caves. You need not remember all temples and caves also. If they are from major kingdoms, if they have some substantial beauty, that's when you have to note down something, right? If they're significantly different from something in the past, so that's when it enters your note. But how can you judge what to make note of and what not to? Only when you solve some questions, otherwise you'll not be able to. Next, coming to modern India, we anyway read 5 to 6 chapters, if I'm not wrong, from NCRT Bipan Chandra, right? So first 5-6 chapters from that old NCRT. It is pretty straightforward. We barely have some 7 to 8 topics on modern India, right? So we have decline of Mughals, then you have several kingdoms that come across Indian continent, and then there is the concept of how various kingdoms have fought amongst themselves, what cultural or economic relations flourished in those times, and then coming to the advent of Europeans, what was European policy, what were the various wars fought. So Europeans, various wars among themselves and with Indians, and then comes British. So what were British policies, how did they consolidate their power? So you barely have 7 to 8 topics, and each of them are nicely put under several subheadings in that textbook. So if you are able to grasp the essence of this textbook, it is barely 80 to 90 pages, if I'm not wrong. You don't need to make notes. Just follow these 7 to 8 topics, look at some previous year questions, that's enough. Next, freedom struggle, which is read out of Spectrum. I don't see any reason for you to make notes of Spectrum. So if at all you have to make some notes from Spectrum, how would you make it? After your second or third reading, once you solve some questions, both prelims and mains ka questions, you'll be able to understand what facts to memorize. So you may have fact sheets like all the instances when Gandhi did hunger strike, all the instances when Gandhi used satyagraha, or when did Muslims participate, when they didn't participate, what were the various organizations or associations. So they keep coming in between chapters, isn't it? So India Independence League comes, Liberal Association comes, so Muslim League comes, Khilafat Committee. So different associations and organizations keep coming in the evolution of history in between chapters in some paragraphs. So you can make a small note of all institutions or all organizations at one place. While you're reading in the second time or third time, you'll be able to appreciate just those facts, institutions, organizations. If at all there are some significant individuals who contributed. So Tanguturi Prakasam, when did he come? C. Rajagopalchari, when he participated. So such unique individuals or institutions or organizations, or if there is mention of any acts or legislations in between chapters, you can take a small note of them on a separate sheet. But that happens after your second reading. Then you'll be able to appreciate fully. That is for prelims. So most of these facts are for prelims, and for mains, Spectrum is already written in a mains friendly manner. Just follow the heading, subheading, you're more than done. Coming to geography. The only note making I would suggest for geography is to be able to define all the terms in your own words. So after reading each chapter, try to explain the phenomenon like winds, pressure differences, those global airs, atmospheric circulation, each of those ocean currents. If you are able to describe them in your own words, each phenomena, then your understanding of geography is done very well. So those 4 textbooks plus reference to Mrunal. Mrunal gives those industry location factors. There is a series on his website that is more than enough, and it is nicely organized in a revision friendly manner. You don't need to make notes of that. So I don't see any reason for you to make notes from geography, because they're again very well categorized. Coming to polity, this is the most organized textbook in entire UPSC preparation. So if you want to make notes out of Lakshmikant, it means you didn't understand the point Lakshmikant is making. So try to understand polity than make notes out of polity. Try to appreciate the differences between legislature, executive, presidential system, parliamentary system. It is easy to read but very difficult to experience. So please experience polity. You will have no need whatsoever to make notes. Coming to economy, I have always referred to Sriram's IAS, and Sriram's IAS, see, if you look at economy questions, what kind of questions do you get in economy directly? Prelims and mains. Mains questions anyway are either current affairs driven, or if at all there is some static tint, it can directly be addressed from your understanding itself. So it is more understanding based. And prelims also is understanding based. What do you make notes of? So I would encourage you again to define after each chapter in your own words. Try to write down what fiscal policy means. Instead of reading what fiscal policy is 10 times, after you read, try to explain it in your own words. You will know whether you have understood or not. So this practice of writing in your own words without seeing immediately after you finish a particular subject will help strengthen your understanding. I would encourage you to do note making of this type. Next, coming to environment. Again, environment, Shankara is most organized. Maybe if at all you want to make a note of, just a quick reference of what Biodiversity Act says. It has biodiversity management committees, it has state biodiversity authority, national biodiversity authority, and it also set rules on, giving back the fund to the local panchayat. So such provisions, if at all you want to, you can quickly recollect and write without seeing, but there is no need to make notes out of Shankara. International relations, if at all you have any class notes, please do follow it. Otherwise, please search for any good background note on international relations. I'm sure most toppers must have given you. Even if they didn't, please stick to Vision IAS current affairs. Read your newspaper every single day and your international relations will be done. But I would advise having any one good source to give you a background on what international relations, how international relations are shaped. So with respect to our neighborhood, with respect to our relations with superpowers, with respect to some institutions, global institutions. So find some good notes by a topper or of any institute and your IR is taken care of, because background is just for understanding. You're not even going to write background because it's all current affairs based. Now coming to the most confusing part, that is mains topics, society. Indian society, you have concepts like women, you have tribals, you have lower caste, you have old age, you have children, then you have secularism, communalism, you have regionalism. So there are a variety of topics that are given in the syllabus itself, right? So have a one pager for each of these topics. You can have them online or you can have them offline. Now, what should you fill in this one pager? This one pager should have a combination of static and current affairs. What should static be? From whichever source you are reading. So if at all you are reading Ncrt for society, then on the topic of women, you should have those 5 to 6 points ready. Similarly, if your topic is Caste, you should have those points like pollution and purity, caste based hierarchies, how contemporary caste movements are shaped. Those quick points from NCRT, just the point. Okay, don't make broad summary chapter wise from NCRT, make them topic wise. Okay, so go for the topics in Indian society and write down crisp points so that for each topic you are able to write at max 10 points. And whenever you're reading current affairs, you will collect facts or you will collect examples or you will collect case studies. Please write them in the one pager itself. So by the end of 1 year before your mains, you should have your one pager notes on women, which will give you 10 points, be it women in politics, women economic participation, crime against women, or general indices on women in the women and equality, crimes against women girl child, So such instances, such examples and case studies, please make a detailed note that can help you. So one pager note with 10 points so that you are able to write an answer. Please don't overkill here because you will barely get 4 to 5 questions, and trust me, Vision IAS is doing a brilliant job because they'll give you mains 365, which will anyway give you this content on women, tribals, caste, old age children, regionalism, communalism. They are giving you facts already. They're collecting static and current affairs together and giving you in mains 365. So you don't even need to make this note. But for the sake of it, if at all you want to, please make a one pager combination of current affairs and static. Coming to post-independence India and world history, I would encourage you strictly not to make heavy notes of these and go by any summaries which are given by toppers, because you're barely getting 3 questions from both of these together and it is yielding very less benefit. Given the cost you have to put in making notes. You can directly go with Vision IAS material for both post-independence India and world history. Do not make notes at all. Just understand the topics, solve some previous year questions and you're done. Please don't make notes for these two because it might take you 15 to 20 days and very less return. Next, coming to governance, economic development, security and disaster management. All topics just like society. You read any one source for static, any one source. So you might read vision value addition material for governance, economic development, security, disaster management. Any value addition material. Or you can refer to any topper if they have given good notes. Or you can refer to any standard textbook if at all there are any. So read any source for static. If you are not reading any source, Google on the internet, find some 10 points to write. Make your one pager ready. Get your one pager ready. So under governance, you have several topics. You have RTI, you have citizen charter, you have e-governance, you have vulnerable sections, you have hunger, poverty, you have education, you have health, you have skill development. So keep the list of topics handy. Your syllabus is your reference. You have the list of topics ready and you are going to make notes only when you do not have any source. If you have a source, please stick to that source and don't make notes on your own. Your goal at the end of reading all of these should be able to collect those 10 points, which are a combination of static and current affairs. Trust me, again, Vision IAS is doing an amazing job when it comes to current affairs. I myself have always used their material, their mains 365 when it comes to my mains attempts. So current affairs, they are doing a phenomenal job. Static, you can refer to any one source or Google, but make it a point you stop at 10 points because you will not be able to write an answer beyond 10 points. Trust me. Coming to S&T. S&T, it's enough if you have brief background information, very brief background information. And again, any good current affairs magazine will give you this brief background very well. Coming to ethics. The only way I always suggest students to make notes of ethics is this. Each chapter have one page per chapter. keyword, definition, examples. So, for example, dimension of ethics. So, what are the various dimensions of ethics? Normative ethics, meta ethics, applied ethics, descriptive ethics. Ethics versus religion, ethics versus law, ethics versus morality. Enough. Examples. Next, what are the determinants of ethics? Again, at individual level, at society level. Individual level, you have your conscience, you have religion, you have family, you have society. At social level, you have law, you have rules, regulations, you have constitution, all of these determining ethics. Examples. That is how you will finish ethics. Your ethics notes is 1 pager per chapter, having keywords. 1 pager, it may sometimes go for 2 pages if you get into topics like probity in governance, which are a bit lengthy, but otherwise more than enough. Definition, keyword, definition, example. That's it. That's how you make notes of your GS static. I'll make another brief video on current affairs note making. Thank you.